4% last year. The Climate Action Plan requires electricity emissions to fall by 75% by 2030. So almost the entire carbon budget for electricity up to 2025 has now already been used up. The main reason is that electricity generation increased by 3%. So even though coal and oil generation fell, wind generation rose, emissions still increased because of a 10% increase in electricity produced by natural gas. Everybody knows the main reason for this is the proliferation of data centres that this government has encouraged. Between 2015 and 2021, electricity consumption rose by 16%. 70% of that was swallowed up by data centres that use more electricity than all rural homes in this state combined. If this government keeps enabling multinationals to dump their data centres here, we will be running to go backwards in terms of emissions. Will you commit to an immediate ban on further data centres?
Deputy Tobin.
So thank deputies again for their contributions. Deputy Sullivan, who I know is a great advocate for climate action and renewable energy, pointed out that our ambition now is to produce 8 gigawatts of solar capacity, and that's a very ambitious target, but one that we believe can be achieved. And I very much agree that we need to remove any obstacles that we can. Planning laws have been relaxed. TAMS grants and other grants are available, as the Deputy said, but I know people are running into practical obstacles, and we need to remove any ones that we can. And I also agree that farmers can lead the way on this, whether it's solar panels on roofs or whether it's solar panels on fields, which can still be grazed, of course. We'll be encouraging them to do exactly that. When it comes to electric vehicles, which Deputy Batchik mentioned, we have seen an increase in the purchase and uptake of electric vehicles last year. I think it was in around 20% or so of all new cars bought last year were battery electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids, and that's in line with where we thought we'd be around now, so that is a little bit encouraging. And we have set aside 100 million over the next 3 years to provide more charging points, because that infrastructure is really necessary if we're going to encourage more people to go electric. I don't know the exact figures for Dublin, but I will ask Mr Ryan to pass them on to you, or get Zebby to pass them on to you if he has them. I don't want to comment on the Exxon story. I saw the reports in the news. I don't know the veracity of them, and I don't know what Exxon's reply has been or what their defence is, if there is any. Deputy Murphy is correct to say that emissions from electricity did go up. There are a number of reasons for that. We had to use coal again, which we had come off coal, and we had to start using coal again, and that was one of the reasons why emissions went up. But also the fact that we have increased demand for electricity. And yes, data centres are part of that, but they are only part of that. They account for about 10 to 14% of all electricity we use, and less than 2% of greenhouse gas emissions. We've no plans for a ban, but we will be reducing new connections, and we will be prioritising those data centres that are linked to employment and important social functions, which they are. And that's a fact and reality of modern life. On the Navan rail line, very much welcome the decision of government to proceed with that project. Will be beneficial to County Meath, but also my own constituency where it plugs in at Hansfield. And there will, of course, have to be funding to get it through planning and to a railway order. There are already a number of projects in Bord Pleanála, as Deputy will know: Metro, DART, Bus Connects, a lot waiting approval by Bord Pleanála. But the next step now is to do planning and design with the view to reopening the rail line to Navan, and indeed connecting at Kilmessan and other stops along the way. Just finally, the question on the forest estate as to whether it's a net carbon emitter or not. I think one of the reasons for that may actually be where the trees were planted, because trees planted in the past in Ireland were often planted in highland and peaty soils. So it's not just about the trees, it's about where they're planted. But I do think we should acknowledge that we need trees for lots of different reasons. Yes, we do want more native trees and broadleaf trees. We want trees to act as a carbon sink. We want trees to provide biodiversity. We want trees to help improve the leisure facilities that we have so that people can walk in them and enjoy them. But we do also need trees for timber too. You know, there is a housing crisis underway, and we shouldn't solve the housing crisis entirely with steel and concrete, because that will drive our emissions up. We need to have much more timber, CLT, timber products being used in housing, and the most suitable trees for that are in fact conifers. So we need to have a rounded approach to this. The housing crisis is as important as the climate crisis.